Mission Impossible 2 is the second installment to the Mission Impossible series, directed by John Woo. And what this movie is about is Ethan falls in love with this girl named Naya, but she's kind of connected to this plot of this guy that creates this virus, so they have to go on this thingy, and it's really not a convoluted plot, it's just I was bored, so I kind of zoned out. Okay, let's just do the cliff notes. Ethan Hunt's there, he's in love, there's a virus, they gotta stop it. There you go. And when I say I was bored by this movie, I mean I was bored. When I first saw Mission Impossible 2, I was kind of bored too. I barely remember it back in the day. I feel like I was zoning out and in when I saw it as a kid. And then I see this movie just a couple hours ago, and I was still bored. I was able to not zone out as much, but I still zoned out. And that's the biggest problem with this movie, is the director change. Tom Cruise stated that he wanted a different director to take on the Mission Impossible series. Alright, that's cool, but can you get someone who's not John Woo? Because John Woo took over Mission Impossible 2, Brian De Palma, who made the first one, was gone, so it's John Woo time, and we get a very, very boring first act with some really good action in the second act. Now, it may sound like I'm complaining in like the first minute of my review, and I apologize for that, because there are some good things here. The acting is really good. Like, everyone in the cast does a good job in their roles, and the action scenes are really, really awesome to watch, and they set up some really good suspense. And the overall plot, it sounds alright, but the way they execute it is like a corny James Bond movie. And that's not the only way I'm going to compare this movie to a James Bond movie. Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise, he was really good in the first movie, but in this movie, he's still good as Ethan Hunt, but Ethan Hunt isn't Ethan Hunt. Like, he's just a James Bond. That's pretty much what he is. Another character that just isn't themselves, Luther Stickle. He was not funny. He was funny in the first movie, then they bring him back here and he was not funny anymore. What happened? And there's this girl named Naya who falls in love with Ethan Hunt, and there's this kind of romance thing. Oh, that does not work at all. It's like a corny James Bond romance. Oh, another James Bond reference. Oh, and you want to know something really corny? The villain is also in love with this girl named Naya, so it kind of creates a love triangle. Illuminati confirmed. This weird love triangle that just makes the villain really weak, because this villain could be really good if they gave him some more character and maybe fleshed him out a bit. But it's just, I want to be evil and stuff, and I'm in love with you, Naya. It really doesn't work, and it creates for one weak villain, and that's one problem that the Mission Impossible series has that I'll get into later. The villains are really weak, and this one in particular. The way they edited this movie, I don't know what was going on in that editing room. Like, just this slow-mo everywhere. There's slow-mo everywhere, guys. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. The slow-mo in this movie is insane. Like, Tom Cruise will just flip over something and slow-mo will happen. He'll have a gun. Boom, boom, boom. The overly used amount of slow-mo is incredible. Like, wow. The editing besides the slow-mo is just really weird also. You just get these weird sound effects everywhere, some awkward zooms, and it just really didn't work. I really don't think John Woo was the right choice to direct this movie, and I'm pretty sure maybe he's made some other good movies, but this movie just wasn't good. It was not right for him. But it is a fun movie to watch, at least the second act. That was at least a bit entertaining because the action was mostly used there, but the weird thing is, the action is taken over by all this weird editing and slow-mo, and it just really doesn't work. And what's up with the birds? There are birds, like, in the second act for, like, no reason. A dove is, like, where Ethan Hunt is, and it flies away, and that reveals his location. Ethan Hunt's running down a hall, and there's a bunch of birds there. Why? The real crime of this movie is that this Mission Impossible movie doesn't feel like a Mission Impossible movie. And that's why it hurts so much. Now, like I said, there are a couple good things here. The acting is really good. Tom Cruise is still good as Ethan Hunt, even though Ethan Hunt isn't Ethan Hunt. And Ving Rhames is still good as Luther Stickle, even though Luther Stickle wasn't Luther Stickle. Girl who plays Naya, she was still good even though the romance between her and Ethan Hunt and the villain didn't work. The villain was actually not that bad of an actor, it's just the character didn't work. A lot of the problems with this movie is that the characters just don't work. There's this helicopter pilot who adds nothing to this movie. But that being said, the action scenes do add a lot of suspense and thrills. There's this one scene where Ethan Hunt's fighting the bad guy at the end, and the bad guy has a knife right to his eye, and if it went in just a little bit, his eye would be gone, and that was very intense. But overall, guys, I would not recommend checking out this Mission Impossible movie. In fact, since they kind of get rid of Naya with Michelle Monaghan in Mission Impossible 3, I think even they were trying to make Mission Impossible 2 not count. So I'm gonna give Mission Impossible 2 a C-. The acting's good, the action is very fun and is suspenseful to watch, and the plot does sound like it could be a really cool Mission Impossible movie, but they execute it so poorly. They make it seem more like a James Bond movie than a Mission Impossible movie. The editing is all over the place, and overall, the romance was lame, and the villain was lame also. But if you have seen Mission Impossible 2, leave in the comments below what you thought of it, and I will be reviewing Mission Impossible 3 and 4 very soon, because Mission Impossible 5 is coming out very soon, and I've been delaying this for a while. Whoops! Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.